everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition with me, your host, Lisa McGrath. So, there's no guest today. It's me and my crazy. You get to join me on my crazy ride. And I had to write notes because I go off on fucking tangents like a child. So, it's like I got a touch of the ADHDs. I squirrel out. Burnt myself today making fucking French toast. Make that make sense. Hurts. Not even lie. Burnt my hand. I was flipping one of the French toasties and I guess I'll say oil. It's not really, I don't cook it with oil. I cook it with butter, but it's like a plant-based butter. So we know it's like a oil of sorts. Splashed out and hit my hand. So it's a rough day. It's a rough Monday. Not gonna lie. Starting off strong. Okay, so here we go. So these are the topics I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm not going to take up too much of your time because I'll ramble on like a jackass, as you guys all know. So here we go. We're going to talk about an event that I just did on the weekend, which is the EV in condominium living. So COF, which is the Condominium Owners Forum, is an organization that I volunteer for, and I really love them. I think they're great. I do so I host their condo chats. And, one of their directors was like, hey, what about if we do an in-person for, electric vehicles in communal living? And I was like, hey, sounds great. There's a lot of questions. People are, really kind of not really sure about this. And, I drive a Dodge Ram. Okay. Like I'm like the last person that's going to be like, yeah, EV. But I think that it's good to get the knowledge for things. Like, I think that if you're so ignorant that you're not even going to go and listen to experts, and I'm the one who picked all the experts. I like all the experts. I want to hear their different, positions. And I'm not going to lie. While I was moderating, I came right out and said, you know what? I see the room is divided. Half of us are like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the other half of us are like, this is fascinating. I want to know what I want to understand. One of the really great things about this is what we learned is that the grid needs to catch up in order for us to, facilitate, everything electric. There's still a lot of things to work out, a lot of bugs to understand. My fire safety guy couldn't come, so I'm hoping that he's going to be able to join us on a Condo Chats video session, which will be awesome. So if you guys are interested in learning about that and you live in a condo and you're kind of like, I kind of need to know what's going on, because there's a lot of there's a lot of really good questions about it. And we had the lawyer there, which was Dion Levesque from SVR Lawyers, and she did an amazing job. This is a question she gets a lot. She jumped right on that bandwagon when I proposed it for her to come have a conversation. We had insurance there, which was BFL. Sherry Bignell was there, and she was answering a lot of really great questions. So, and then of course, two electrical engineers, one from MB Engineering and the other one from SMP. So Paul from SMP and Eric from MB Engineers. And I'm going to tell you something, great panelists, like they did an amazing job. And we had some people from YYC Calgary Charge, or I guess it would be the Charge YYC program from the city of Calgary. They were there and they were able to answer some questions because, they were kind of getting, it was pointing in the direction for them. Like the engineers kept setting it up for them to kind of have conversation about it, which is a program that they do for communal living. I'm not for it. I think it's a little bit premature. I think it's a great idea for inner city, what they're doing, like the city of Calgary. However, I'm kind of on the fence of, I don't know if I want to push this onto corporations to spend money in finding out the schematics and surveying their properties to see if they can even put a charge system for electric vehicles on their property. So a lot of things to work out. So anyways, it was a great event. I had a lot of fun. If you guys want to check out when the next event will be in and around Alberta, then you can go to the Condominium Owners Forum or cof.ca, and you can check that out. Or you can just hit me up on email, lisa@lpmenterprises.net, and I'll know probably when the next one's going to be going down. With my luck, I'll probably get roped into doing the next one. I think they said, do you want to go to Edmonton? And I was like, no. Who wants to go to Edmonton willingly? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah. We always make a joke. Calgary and Edmonton have always kind of had like this little like fun feud because we've got the Flames and the Oilers. And so we've always kind of had this little fun feud. And, I used to always make jokes with people and they're like, I'm from Edmonton. I'm like, oh, you're from the Calgary Zoo? And they're like, it's rude. I'm like, I know, but it's funny. So, but no, I'm just kidding. But I would definitely take a jaunt up to Edmonton. It's not that far. It's only a couple hours, especially with where I'm at. So yeah, EV was great. Loved it. hope some of you guys will tune in to some of the programs that we have at the COF if you guys are condominium owners or just want to learn more about condo. Yeah, politics is my next one. There's a lot going on with politics. Everybody's kind of feeling some kind of way. So here's the thing. I wasn't born in Alberta. I was born in Montreal. But I was raised in Alberta. My memory as far back as it goes is Alberta. I did spend every summer in Quebec. I'm closer to my mom's side than to my dad's side, but I love my dad's side, and I know quite a few of them. At the end of the day, division is the worst thing that can happen for our country. And as a Canadian, I follow behind everybody else that says elbows up. It's go time. I don't want to be the 51st state. I don't want anything to do with the Americans. I don't want to have anything to do with MEGA. And for the chirpy Albertans out here that are like, from Berta, the Berta ones, Merca, Berta, those ones. If you want to be the 51st state, hey, you know what? Border's not far. Like, just take a drive. I'm not going to say anything rude about it. I'm just going to say the border's just not far. It's a couple hours out. So whether you want to go through the Sask border, through the BC border, or through the Alberta border, like, we welcome you to do that. If that's what you want, if you want to be an American, that's okay. No one's going to judge you for it. At least, well, a lot of fucking people are going to judge you for it. But I'm not going to judge you for it. I think that everybody's entitled to their opinions in regards to the politics. I am not going to vote Pierre Poilievre. I would rather, I would rather live in the States. No, that's a lie. That's a fucking lie. He's like a Timu Trump. What I look at, here's the thing with politics. I'm just going to say this real quick for all of you guys. Because we're all like, it's heavy. Like, shit is heavy right now with what's going on in the world and how Trump is dismantling the US. And my heart bleeds for US citizens and how Canada is holding asylum for them to come across, people that are really in trouble. And, I heard there's a story I read, a couple of people tried to come through the Quebec border and ran through the woods, a young couple with their 2 children, a year and 2 years old. I read this on TikTok. Don't know if it's real because you can't believe everything you read online. But allegedly, it was from a source that was like a Canadian news outlet, and said that they were eventually found by RCMP based on some of the communications that were coming through. And they got to safety and they're all good. They suffered from severe hypothermia, all of them, and that they're looking to seek asylum here in Canada. And us being Canadians, we'll probably give it to them. You're going to go through that type of measure to get here. We're probably going to, bring you through the ringer a little bit, but with a lot of questions. But we're probably going to let you stay because we're not going to send you back to the wolves. But that leads me to my next point with politics too. So this point I'm going to make, and this is what everybody needs to remember. As Canadians, everyone's like, oh, why would you piss off the nicest country? But that's where everyone needs to remember. Don't mistake our kindness for weakness. And, we're just a sleeping dragon. Now you've woken us up and we're all pissed off. Every generation at every level is pissed off. And we're not going to let anything stand. We're not going to let you try and, weasel your way in here and try and dismantle us in any way, shape, or form. And we sure as shit should not let people who are already in the borders, that are our enemies, that have already crossed our borders. Well, they've crossed enemy lines and gone and been buddies and then turn around and come back. And they're like, oh yeah, we should do this. Which is, unfortunately, our UPC government. A lot of them are mega supporters. They're all about, banning abortion, women's rights, gay rights. They have a different spin on immigration. They're going to basically do something similar in the States. They're going to do it in Canada. And that's what I freak out about. So that's why I say to you, do your research. Make sure you're listening to the right people that don't just have an opinion, but are actually taking the time to sit down. Like, there's a couple out here. I know the breakdown really goes through things. He went through a hell of a time with the premier, Danny Dumbfuck. She decided she was going to put him through the ringer because he was calling out her bullshit and he was exposing the UPC for what they are. The majority of us in the world are blue collar. So we're either middle class, upper middle class. And that's what really makes up a lot of our families. And so when you're not, executive level or, you're not sitting in, like, you don't got like a few $100,000 in the bank that you could just go shopping with. Like, they're not for you. They're for them. They're for the people. They're for the rich to stay rich. And I hate to say that. And people say, well, what about liberals? Liberals are garbage, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say that liberals can be much better in certain things. But what I will say is that right now, the NDP, the Green Party, and the Liberals are more standing towards Canadians, and they are not extreme left. They are becoming more centered. And just because the Liberal Party supports people in different communities, like the LGBTQ and all of the Indian immigrants that have come over from India, that they support and celebrate their culture, and just because they're and the Aboriginal or Native culture, when our governments see them and, join in the festivities of celebrating who they are as people, I don't see why that's extreme left. It's not. It's just showing your acceptance. And if one person does it, it's not the end of the world. But what it shows is it shows the amount of intolerance amongst other people in Canada. And this is where the divides are going to start to happen. And we can't divide as Canadians. Most of us are coming together. Most of us are standing arm in arm with our elbows up going like, it's fucking go time. So if you're a politician, because Mark Carney just got in, so he's now our prime minister, which reminds me, and I'll get through that. I always mix up premier and prime minister, not because I'm stupid and I don't know. It's just, my brain's going a mile a minute. So then I'll say someone's a premier when they're the prime minister or vice versa. Yeah. So anyway, regardless, if you've done something in the past, because everyone under a microscope looks like shit. Everyone, I don't care who you are. Anyone can spin anything that you've done to make you look like shit. I don't care what you did in the past. If you're still doing it, I care. But if you're not doing it anymore, then that sounds like it was a mistake that you made and you've learned from. But it's what you're doing now during this campaign, this platform. What is it? What are you doing? So right now, in what I'm seeing, it's not my opinion. It's what it's being shown to me. Pierre Poilievre is not for the people. He is for himself and for his cronies. Very much like, south of the border. Mark Carney and Liberals and NDP leaders and Green Party are for Canada. They are seeing the open threat. I'm not going to lie to you. I would love it if, like, Elizabeth May got in as prime minister. She would wipe the floor with him. She's hilarious. She's feisty. I love her. I like seeing women in power. I'm not going to lie. Except Danielle. She's an idiot. Don't hire idiots in fucking positions of power. Everyone's like, oh, women are so emotional. Men are just as emotional. Let's just start there. But women who sit in their masculine for too long end up like Danielle Smith, and then they make all the wrong choices because she's playing on a man's game board and trying to act like a man. Well, last I checked, Danielle, you don't have parts to be a man. So maybe, and you don't identify as one. So maybe play on a woman's chessboard. And you probably might be a little further ahead. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, like, your moral compass is fucked up. But anyhow, I digress. Okay, what's next? Oh, my next episodes. Hold up. Hey. Okay, so I'm not going to lie to you. So we've already surpassed 20 episodes that have been filmed or recorded. So I'm going to do my little, I'm someone who's like 50 and 100, but I will do the little 20 because they always say it's milestones in podcasting when you do so many, right? So I'll do my little we hit in season 2, we hit X amount of time when it gets there, when you guys when those episodes drop. I think we're at episode 13 right now. It's episode 13. No, actually I'm you know what? I'm episode 12 and 2 days. So Wednesday will be Bob. Bob is from Fountainhead Mechanical and he will be 13. Then I will have Victoria on. So Victoria, let me see here. Sorry, my brain stopped. Victoria Givlin is a gifted media producer. Incredibly talented, young, smart, go-getter, entrepreneurial. Love her. She's coming on. Then Maria Martinello. Maria is a blast. And Maria is so accomplished. She's an author. She's an operations director for a beautiful eatery out in Bearspaw. And I adore Maria. I just love her. Anyway. After Maria, we're going to have Wayne Kavanaugh from Frostfire, and we're going to talk about building Makeup Air, and we're also going to have a chat about COVID. That's not true. We already had these chats. I'm not going to lie to you. These have already been recorded, but he's hilarious. He's actually a really funny guy. And we talk about politics. We talk about all kinds of stuff. And we always say, politics are a no-no, politics and religion. And I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot going on in the world. We need to have the conversation. I need to know who my allies are. But we're all each other's allies. And like I said, if you feel strongly that you want to go to the States, I mean, like, border's just a, jaunt down the road. So have at her. Then I've got my girlfriend Darcy coming on. Darcy worked in oil, still works in the oil field. So she's fun to talk to because we talk about a bunch of different things. And of course, we've got a couple in there with me because, I got to have my fucking rant days. I mean, come on, I'm hilarious. Me and my burnt fucking hand. Anyhow, so then my buddy, he's like my family. His family is like my family. I love him to death. Greg, and then after him will be his friend Victoria, and they're both truckers. So Greg is a long haul truck driver, and I love bringing him on because I thought trucking was a trade forever, and he fucking schooled me and was like, nah, we're just like unskilled labor. And of course we kind of make fun of it. And because Greg and I are such good friends, we kind of joke around and, we're probably going to offend some people. I'm not going to lie. Like, if you tune into that episode, we're probably going to offend you a little bit, but that's just me and Greg. And I mean, I was raised in Alberta. We can be a little insensitive. A lot. Victoria's a doll. Love talking to her. She is a pilot car driver. And very cool just to hear about the different things. And so now that we're all linked up, she sends me stuff that she does, like her routes and stuff and how she runs. And she's also an owner operator of her pilot car. And that's really cool. So pilot driving is when you're, bringing the loads in. Man, I'm not in trades. It's when you bring in trucks. So you're guiding trucks in that are wide loads. Like, the jokes just get insurmountable the longer I fucking talk. I'm just going to stop. It's fucking ridiculous. Okay. After that, we've got a few more coming after that, but that's where I'm going to take you up because it pretty much does it put us as 20? Puts us just over 20 episodes. So we'll get there and we'll do our little celebration. Celebration time. Come on. Okay. One thing I will note is that a lot of times I'll say one thing to one person and then I might say something different to another. It's not really. So I say that one of the big ones is that I always say that I guard my peace, and I do, which means that if I'm on contract with someone as an entrepreneur, you're always on. You're always on. And that's true. So if I get text messages and emails on a Sunday, I respond to them. Okay. I respond to them. I'm just not going to site. I'm just not going anywhere unless there's an emergency or my client who is paying me needs me and makes that clear. I'm then headed to site on a Sunday, but normally Sundays are for me and my kids. There are a lot of things I will do from Monday to Saturday, but Sunday is mine and my kids. We go out, we do stuff, or we just have a lazy day, or we watch TV, or we do meal prep, or whatever it is we want to do. It doesn't mean that I'm just like, oh, well, she says she protects her peace, but oh no, she doesn't. I do. But as an entrepreneur, you are always on, which means that I'm always paying attention to my phone. I'm actually kind of an addict. I'm not going to lie, but regardless, it is what it is. And I just want you guys to understand that when I say one thing, I mean it. It's not that I'm saying one thing and then another. I'm actually meaning what I say. I take the Sundays off. I don't want to have to do anything. If someone reaches out to me, I will do that. And then, of course, I make fuck ups. I call premiers prime ministers and prime ministers premiers like a jackass. And yeah, I mean, like, whatever. I mean, I'm smart, but, I say Marty. But sometimes I might sound like I'm not. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, that's kind of what's going on. I always love having you guys come and hang out with me and with my guests. So like I said, you guys will see Bob tomorrow, and then the list goes down, and there's some good ones. So Maria, just so you know, Maria and Victoria are a little bit of a wild card. They're kind of, Maria and I talk about relationships and narcissistic abuse and stuff like that. And then myself and Victoria talk about what she's doing, which is kind of like, she's got a really extensive marketing background and she's smart as hell, but she has kind of pivoted and now she's like producing, film and media content, and she's doing, like, she's killing it right now. So go listen to that one because she's got some stuff out, and it's always good to support local because that's what we're doing now. We're supporting Canadians. So it's fantastic. Anyhow, that's all I gotta say. So vote accordingly. You're like, does that mean vote Liberal? No, it means if you're going to vote, be happy with who you're choosing and make sure you have all the information of who they are today, not who they were fucking 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. I don't give a shit who you were then. People change all the time, but who you are today is what I pay attention to. It's just how it goes. I mean, like, if killers can be rehabilitated, maybe politicians can too. No, it's a lie. I don't know. Anyways, you guys have yourselves an incredible day and don't do anything crazy.